A very good evening. On behalf of Social Development Federation, we welcome to our guest and all the participants in national webinar on role of digital scholarship and digital humanities in knowledge world. Social Development Federation is organizing various activities on occasion of coming birth anniversary of Fathers of Library, Professor Ranganathan sir, to make this evening wonderful with knowledge. In this webinar, our two eminent speaker, Dr. Susmita Chakravarti Madam, Professor, University of Calcutta and Commonwealth Fellow, UK. And another speaker, Dr. Santanu Ganguly Sir, Chief Librarian, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Nai Delhi. On this regard, now I request to Dr. Rajneesh Sharma Sir, Principal, Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Agra, for welcome address. Dr. Sharma Sir.
Of you, and I welcome from my bottom of heart to our speakers, well-known speaker, learned speakers, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly and Dr. Susmita Chakravarti. On occasion of this event, these two speakers, as Dr. Anand has said, having a wide knowledge and experience in their field of library science and information regarding the library technology. In the present, briefly, I will introduce our chief speaker to our very special audience of today's function. Dr. Shantanu Ganguly is the chief librarian at B.V. Dikshit Library, All India Institute of Medical Science. He is a well-learned person and having the master degree in environmental science, master in library and information science, MBA in marketing and management, PG diploma in computer application, and PhD in marketing or special library services. He has been the leading personality in organizing the so many leading programs like project on management, knowledge management, divisional communication strategy for organizations, storytelling with DAVE, data analysis and visualization experiences, infopreneurship. He is also editor of reputed journals and newsletters, just like World Digital Library, NREE, conducted so many leading capacity development program in the country such as the International Conference on Digital Library, Professional Development Program. He has been also the advisor to leading organizations like Indian Council of Medical Research, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Changes. Now, Dr. Shantanu Ganguly will present his views on this webinar. Along with him, Professor Susmita Chakravarti, HOD and Professor at Department of Library and Information Science, University of Calcutta. He has been he has been the MLib MLIS in Digital Library Management and Associateship of Information Science. He also has been a PhD in medical informatics. He is keen researcher involved in the national and international level. She has supervised many MPhil and PhD scholars. He has been deputed librarian in Bengal Engineering and Science Universities. She also worked as a librarian in Maharaja Manindra Chandra College, as assistant librarian in the Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management, librarian cum information officer in UV International Impacts. Now, along with Professor Susmita and Dr. Shantanu Ganguly. Now I hand over this dais for the further program, further informational views from Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, please.
Dr. Sharma, I think Sushmita is going to start first.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Shantanu,
Yeah, Sushmita, you
yeah,
start first.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Can you please switch on, dear organizer? Please switch on the uh, PPT that I have shared. Respected dignitaries of and on the dais, respected participants from all over India, and maybe some from outside India too, to all library information science scholars. Today's presentation will be to focus on a relatively neglected arena of library information science. Actually, with the advent of IT, information and communication technology, uh, starting from 1990s, we have seen that in many library and information activities, we librarians are taking a back seat, whereas information technology professionals are going forward and taking the lead role. There is nothing wrong if information technology professionals are entering into our domain, but we have to keep pace with them, and we have to remember that library and information is our activity. So now that information technology is on the way to be all and almost end all in everything, we have to embrace it with dignity and with um, using it in a efficient manner, so that our own job of disseminating in library information services can be performed very well. So today's program is on digital scholarship and digital humanities. As the keynote speaker, I was asked to talk about this on at length. So I have designed the structure of this program. Next, please. Next slide, please. So I have designed the structure of the program in such a way where we will talk about digital humanities first, and then digital humanities timeline. That is, what are the different phases of digital humanities and how it has been developed, how the evolution has been going on, and then various organizations working in this domain of digital humanities, what are the different digital humanities projects that are going on, and then at length about Indian scenario, what we are doing to promote digital humanities, then current picture, local picture, and about personal involvement. So the very first thing, hello, can you hear me? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Sushmita, you are audible. Only
Okay.
thing, make the presentation in a presentation mode. Please put the
Uh,
PPT on a presentation mode.
No, I have put it, I have shared the PPT. I have already shared the PPT. You can't you see it? What else I should do?
Okay.
Dr.
Maybe,
Sharma or Dr. Singh,
Okay.
can you put it on a
Madam, go ahead.
yeah,
उस
yeah.
इसको प्रेजेंटेशन मोड में डालिए आप.
Okay, sir.
Actually, from their end, they have to do it. Okay. I have presented it. Dr. Sharma, can you please make it in the presentation mode?
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I am continuing. You please make it in the presentation mode.
Okay.
So now we will start with the term, how the term is coined and when it is coined. So digital humanities is a relatively new term coined in 2004 by Robert A. Busha, and he explained it in the way that it is digital humanities is the automation of every possible analysis of human expression. Till then, we used to think that information technology or digital technology is there only to express, only to aid in the science and technology field. But Robert A. Bushas, he said that it is not only limited to the science technology research domain, but it can be applied and it should be applied to the domain of digital humanities. So next is we wanted to use the technology in the field of humanities, that is machine on men or people, and the methodology should be in multidisciplinary nature, because this will be a vast area combining English, history, French, modern languages, philosophy, theater, music, computer science, visual arts, and everything possible. So how we can divide the evolution and growth of digital humanities? We can divide it into 4 periods. First period is when we go through phase 1. Phase 1 started long before internet came into vogue. From 1949 to 1970, some computing center started to apply digital technology in the field of digital humanities. In the next phase, till 92, we saw the emergence of the scholarly societies using digital humanities for their end. From 1992 till 2004, digital humanities has been embraced warmly even by the libraries. And after we librarians took into charge of digital humanities in the phase 4 from 2005 till date, digital humanities became a mainstream entity. So how the first phase went? In the 1949, we saw that Father Roberto Busa, he started to use machine to index the words of Saint Thomas Aquinas. 11 million words. You cannot imagine. At that age, 1949, at that early age, Father Roberto, he indexed all the words, but he started, and then IBM helped him to use the digital technology. At the very onset of digital technology, you can say 1949 is very early age. Then in 1963, literary and linguistic computing was founded at Cambridge by Roy Wisby, and they started working with German texts. Then in 1966, computers and the humanities was formed by Wilhelm Ott, and they developed the program TUSTP to work on digital humanities in a large way. Then 1970, saw the amalgamation of all the DH personalities and stakeholders in a important conference, and the conference saw the birth of the first Association for Literary and Linguistic Computing. Then, in the next phase, we saw several things. We saw the birth of literary linguistic computing. We saw the association on computer and humanities, and it worked on interaction between the two fields. Perseus project began at Harvard to work on the great literature of the world. Then in 86, digital scholarship in the humanities was founded. The then name was Literary Linguistic Computing, but it was renamed as Digital Scholarship in the humanities. So digital scholarship and digital humanities name came first in 1986. Then 86, SGML specification released, which helped the growth and abundance of working digital technology on the field of humanities. Then text encoding initiative came into vogue and humanists began to work. Then in 89, in Toronto, hypertext and other formats came into being to help out the formatting and the other features of the literary and other texts. In 1991, we saw a beautiful project which will be very much beloved at the heart of the English literature students and scholars and teachers. It was the electronic Beowulf project. Everyone who does have some inclination towards English literature knows about the great Middle English scholarly work Beowulf, and it was searched and first used the digital technology for this Beowulf project. Then a network was founded in 1992. In the next phase, we saw that Virginia Tech also has a digital library, digital humanities center. Then 93 saw the birth of Mosaic, which helped in the growth of digital humanities and digital scholarship. Then TEI guidelines came into vogue. First draft of XML specifications released by North American editor. Okay, so XML is beautifully applied for the use of digital humanities, as you know very well. So digital library program also founded in 1996 in University of Michigan. Then MITH founded in 99, and 2003 saw the birth of hashtag. Blackwell published Companion to Digital Humanities in 2004, and this is the first time that the term digital humanities has been used for academic vocabulary. Then Black Archive came into being. Then MLA publishing came into vogue on electronic textual editing. So this is the first time editing procedure for electronic text has been there to help out the digital scholars. ACLS reported on cyber infrastructure which should be required for humanities and social sciences, and Digital Humanities Office was founded in 2006 for that. 2007 saw the birth of startup grants to start digital humanities projects. Networking started in 2007, and in 2008, CLIR survey of digital humanities center all over the globe came into vogue, published. And 2012, CLIR published one culture conceptually intensive research in the humanities and social sciences. So, after the 4 phases, we will see who and what and where are the important associations. The most important name in the field of digital humanities is Alliance of Digital Humanities Organization, an umbrella organization over the all organization working on digital humanities. So this alliance ADHO, it has the European Association, it has the Computer and Humanities, it has the Canadian Society, Australasian Association, Japanese Association, and French Association. So many associations of different countries or continents came into the under the umbrella of ADHO, and it has special interest groups like digital literary statistics, audiovisual data, global outlook, libraries, digital humanities, linked open data, which is very much interested people are nowadays. There are other important associations, European Associations for Humanities, Digital Humanities from 1973. There are the Association for Computers and Humanities, 1978, Canadian Society for Digital Humanities. There are CenterNet, a very effective, collaborative, cooperative organization with 200 members, 100 centers, 19 countries. There is the Humanistica, French organization, Australasian organization. There are the Japanese and Nordic country organization on digital humanities. As we know, Busha, he worked on that Christian text and supported by IBM. There are the digital humanities different projects. Busha's work is the first. Electronic Beowulf work is one of the best works and early works on digital humanities. There is a great work done on our Himalayas, digital Himalaya, but sadly we didn't start it. Not in it. It was not started in India, but it was started in the Digital Humanities Lab of Yale University Library, and anthropological, ethnographic, geographical, and so many other statisticians. Everybody was involved in this Digital Himalaya project. Then transforming musicology. You know, music is, many persons says that music are the uh, language for your soul, and music is based on wave theory, sad, re, gamas, the seven notes of music, Indian music, and the notes of other musics of other countries. They have some wave pattern, some mathematical pattern. So, University of Oxford started musicology project to use IT in a great way into musicology. Then Dante, Divine Comedy and that great work. So Dante sources has been worked upon in a digital humanities project. Then Ohio Link finding a depository. Ohio Link finding a depository help you to search search projects in which you were interested in the digital humanities region. Then there are different resources on digital humanities. You have that discussion groups, you have listserv, you have question and answer groups on digital humanities. There are journals like Digital Humanities Quarterly, Digital Humanities Review, digital DH Commons. There are digital literary studies by Penn State University, International Journal of Humanities Arts Computing by Edinburgh University Press, Journal of Data Mining. Data mining is a very important thing in digital humanities. Social media is using hashtag. Hashtag is Humanities, Arts, Science and Technology Alliance and Collaboration. Digital Coans, which is for digital rights management. in the DH field and digital scholarship in the humanities. So what is the Indian scenario? Indian scenario, we are started to work on this field. Gradually, we have developed some projects like Vichitra online. Vichitra is an online Tagore Varium done by the Jadavpur University School of Cultural Text and Records. Um, it has been designed first by Professor Shukanto Chaudhuri, and then it was advised by the great poet Shankho Ghosh, who just passed away a little over a month ago. The great poet Shankho Ghosh was the chief advisor, and later in the day, Professor Amlad Das Gupta took hold of the directorship of this School of Cultural Texts and Records at Jadavpur University. It has done numerous works, among that Vichitra, which is on 150th birth anniversary of Tagore. That was one very good resource. There are the Sudhindranath Datta, Rajeshwari Datta papers. Both are poets, and poet singer. And Shakti Chattopadhyay papers, Jyotirmoyi Devi, Shoibal Gupta papers, and also there are the Dinen Gupta papers, music recordings, Sanjay Bhattacharya notebooks. So many other things are there in the done in the repository of School of Cultural Texts and Records at Jadavpur University. Then there is a beautiful collection of all writings by Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, the great literary genius, read and translated by many languages into many languages in different parts of India, and whose famous character is Devdas, So Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, everything written, all novels and short stories written by him was worked upon by Bengal Engineering Science University, now Indian Institute of Engineering Science and Technology at Shibpur, Howrah. Now, Digital Humanities has come as academic program, and it has been installed by some universities as a course curricula. Presidency is one such university, and there is this IIT Jodhpur, Indian Institute of Technology Jodhpur, who has launched a digital humanities department under which there are scholars who are working. So Ashoka University, just some months ago, they advertised for I think first time in India, they advertised for the position of a faculty on digital humanities. So it is a field which can be lucrative for our library information science scholars, not very much cultivated till date. So what are the centers courses works on digital humanities in India? There is the Center for Internet and Society, which encompasses other things, but it has a major thrust area on digital humanities. There is the Digital Humanities Alliance of India that tries to collocate all like-minded organizations working on digital humanities. There is the Center for Digital Humanities. There is the Srishti Institute of Art, Design and Technology, which works upon digital humanities. There are courses run by 1-year PG diploma by School of Cultural Texts and Records, Jadavpur University, Digital Humanities Center of the Presidency University, Savitribai Phule in Pune University certificate course, and also University College for Women, Hyderabad. It runs a BA course on computer applications in digital humanities, and IDRP Digital Humanities School at IIT Jodhpur. They also run such a course. Next, last but not the least, I want to point out how I came to be interested in this field of digital humanities. I have a long association with this digital humanities area. especially because I had the background of honors in English literature and masters in English literature from University of Calcutta. So I had an inclination towards English literature. And when I came into entered into the domain of library information science, I wanted to combine both. So when the term digital humanities came into vogue, I embraced it with all warm thoughts. And when I went to School of Cultural Text and Records at Jadavpur University, I took a course on digital humanities from them. It was a very intensive workshop where resource persons were digital scholars, digital humanities scholars from all over the world. Then, when in 2015, I was a visiting academic at University College London, UK, then I took a very active part in a agathon. What is an agathon? It was a marathon on Agatha Christie literature. Like it, you don't have to run, but in agathon, you have to relate all works and components of works or on Agatha Christie or by Agatha Christie. So on all Agatha Christie or all things or by Agatha Christie, we collocated all those things using a digital humanities software developed locally by the School of Digital Humanities at University College London. And it was it combined the concepts of linked data while you are linking associated concepts, associated literature, associated and subordinated and coordinated concepts, related terms, etc. So you can think about our thesaurus building of olden days and can extend it towards a vast ontological structure and linked data structure to understand the concept of agathon that we did there. And then in 2018, I had the privilege of being the organizing secretary of an international conference on digital humanities organized by the Department of Library and Information Science, University of Calcutta, India. And in that conference, we had the pleasure of distinguished speakers and distinguished participants from all four major continents: North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. All four continents were represented by resource persons and participants at that conference. So there were brainstormings, dialogues, and pre-workshops, post-workshops. So it was a gigantic conference with 4 days of workshops, discussions, seminars, brainstorming sessions, and so many other things. So, last but not the least, recently I am associated with the IDRP Digital Humanities School at IIT Jodhpur, Indian Institute of Technology Jodhpur, as a capacity of a research committee member. Okay, so my association with digital humanities goes very deep, and this has been mm, this has been my privilege to be associated with this has been my dear privilege to be associated with this emerging subject, as I am having both the background of information science and English literature. For me, this is a very interesting concept. And I had the privilege of speaking on as an invited speaker in the IFLA conference on conference at New Delhi, where we combined forces from regional section on Asia Oceania. So the whole section members of Asia Oceania were there along with the international participants. And there, after my program, there were scope for getting more knowledge what they are doing in their own countries about digital humanities. So thank you all. I thank all the organizers of Social Development Foundation for having me as their keynote speaker, and I thank especially Dr. Singh, who is a long-term associate and a renowned scholar in the field of library information science, as well as I am having the pleasure of meeting again Dr. Shantanu Ganguly, a big name in our field, who is a great leader and entrepreneur in our field, who has some qualities which I think our library information science field needs the most: innovation in library information science. We should think out of the box thoughts and bring some new, like digital humanities, innovations in library information science, investigative librarianship, and so many other things. Thank you all.
Now I request to Dr. Shantanu Ganguly to present their talk on digital scholarship and digital humanities.
Can all of you see my screen?
Not yet.
Can all of you see my screen? Just have a look at it.
Now it is coming.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So first of all, let me give a big thank to Dr. Rajnish Sharma, the president of the SDP, and Dr. BP Singh, uh, Dr. Anand Kumar, and my age-old friend Sushmita, uh, and my dear participants. Well, a very interesting topic. I was as a just like I mean, when Professor Sushmita Chakraborty was speaking, I was listening to her and I was recollecting my age-old school days that a teacher is teaching and you should not speak, you should listen to her attentively. And that is the quality Professor Sushmita is have. And the way she, presented the entire thing of digital scholarship, I don't think I need to, much on this. But still, I would be doing since I have been invited. So let me look at it in a different way, and probably I can make some mistakes also. So it would be a learning experience for me also. So basically, digital scholarship and new frontiers in the digital humanities, that's an area I have taken over. Well, my agenda for digital scholarship will be on these areas. I will not go very deep into it. Overview of the digital scholarship, a brief eye view of digital humanities, the tools and technologies of digital scholarship, the digital scholarship innovation I will look into, and some of the case studies, if I time permits, I'll highlight on that. Now, why there is a scholarship of discovery? Generally, if you look at these two words, the scholarship and the humanities, they are actually entwined with each other. They are connected with each other, scholarship and humanities. Because you search for new knowledge, the traditional definition of scholarship, you would like to relook at it. The discovery of new information and new models, and sharing discoveries through scholarly publication. So these are some of the highlights of scholarship of discoveries, and the commitment to knowledge for its own sake, to the freedom of inquiry. In fact, this is a very interesting quotes I came out. and which I think it related to the scholarship of discovery, which highlights into that. Then there is a scholarship of integration, where integration of knowledge from different sources. As Sushmita has already talked about, that it is a multidisciplinary in nature. In today's context, please, we don't, I mean, as I will go through my presentation, I will tell you, in today's context, it is not a subject specific anymore. If one subject is very much related to thousands of subjects which are entwined with each other, and we need to understand this integration, and presents the overview of findings in a resource topic, bringing findings together from different disciplines to discover the convergence which is taking place. Where is that unity? Where is that point where the unity is taking place? Identify the trends and see the knowledge in a new way. So once again, there is a very interesting quote I came out when in fact, I was reading quite a good number of research papers for preparing this presentation on this digital humanities and digital scholarship, where it says bringing insight to bear on original research with interpretive, integrative, and interdisciplinary approaches. And I'm sure you have already got an insights what Sushmita has talked about in her, which is more on interpretive one, how the integration can take place, what are the different languages are there, and the different interdisciplinary which are coming together and all. The scholarship of application, the discovery of ways that new knowledge can be used to solve real world problems. New intellectual problems can arise out of the very act of application. Higher education must serve the interest of the larger community with the application of knowledge to the real world problems. I'll take a very small example. I was doing a very interesting project for this from Madhya Pradesh government. When I was doing it, so it was basically to find out the different, I had to set up a knowledge management system on water sector in Madhya Pradesh with the Madhya Pradesh government. So I was looking at their climate dimensions. So one of the important thing is that when we were discussing that in Madhya Pradesh, in the very specific area, there was a lot of, the groundwater problem was there. So when we had a discussion with the principal secretary and the other scientists who were sitting there, and we had the other stakeholders, like some of the people came from, very old age people came from the villages. And when we we created a huge community, when we had a discussion and debate with all of them. So what has happened is, one of the person says, हम तो क्या मिट्टी में हाथ लगा के कह देते हैं कि पानी कहां पर अवेलेबल होगा. And you won't imagine that person has got so much of experience and knowledge that really he can give you a complete structure of that particular place where the water is available there. So we started, and so the principal secretary was such an expert one. I remember his name was Inder Singh Benz, and Inder Singh was telling us that, I think, Dr. Ganguly, we have to capture such knowledge. It is very much important. So on one hand, when we look at the knowledge application to a larger community, on one hand, we have the modern technologies available, but we cannot give away the traditional technologies. The traditional mechanisms or the indigenous mechanisms which are there, it has to be captured and all. And there are many more examples I can cite on this when I did more and more projects in the basically in the northeastern belt, also on these areas. Another important component is scholarship of teaching, which involves the search for innovative approaches and best practices to develop the skills and disseminate the knowledge. Informal, formal teaching, advising, mentoring, and knowing and learning are communal tasks. Faculty as scholars are also learners also. In fact, there was a quote came from Aristotle that teaching is the highest form of understanding today. And in fact, who else better than can void for this, when Professor Sushmita Chakraborty, who herself is a teacher today, she knows about this particular theory, that why teaching is also an understanding a problem in this context. So this entire concept of scholarship which I discussed today, it was given by Boyer. So Boyer's, basically it's called four models of Boyer. So Boyer says we need for us more inclusive view of what it means to be a scholar. Then comes your scholarship, a recognition that knowledge is acquired through research, through synthesis, through practice, and through teaching. And the richness of the faculty should be celebrated. It should be celebrated. And that's what the Boyer's conclusion he was given in that. Well, there is a very important component which is coming up, which is need of the hour. We talk about open data, we talk about open publishing, we talk about open communication and open education. And if you look at the spiral, it starts with the discovery, then comes your integration, then it is applied on the field, and then the same applications are taught in the classes also. So the more and more practical experiences are required when you are sharing your knowledge and understanding with your gamut of people. So that's a very, very important area, and that is the need of the hour today. So there are three important things. One is open science, that is on a networked environment, and the digital tools which are coming up in a big way. And all three of them are actually nothing. I have got a very inclusiveness and a cohesiveness arranged into it. Digital scholarship, most of us studying, teaching, or researching are digital scholars because our regular engagement is with digital technology. But these includes what? Browsing the internet, listening to the recordings of the audio interviews, performing data calculations using spreadsheet programs, or reusing the data banks like Open Science and all. But digital scholarship may go beyond the technological interactions, looking at how the combination of digital tools, network environment, which I've shown you, or open science can transform and enhance the research today. How digital tools help in the research analysis, how a network environment help collaborators when access the data, and how open science can enable the research community. So these are some of the very pragmatic areas we need to look at the digital scholarship in today's context. Translate the entire digital research into needs, because otherwise it's of no use. So DLS offers guidance on a variety of platforms, processes, and provides a guidance to the diverse tools that enhance digital scholarship practices. In fact, I'll be giving you a complete list of digital tools which are available for the scholarship and humanities also. Strength is in being able to translate your digital research desires into concrete needs and requirements. And it has a facilitation of best practices. And if you suppose tomorrow, like as Sushmita was mentioning, that tomorrow if you create a digital scholarship center, you need to have a facilitation of best practices in data and a metadata documentation. See, I think we are very much experts in our field, but let me tell you, we are not so expert in today. At least I am not expert, I can say, to write a proper metadata of a data. It is an art. It is a creativity is writing a metadata of a particular resource. Setting up an online exhibition space, a virtual space and all, enhancing geographic information system projects, and advocating for the good research data management and the open science. That is how you completely convert the entire digital scholarship from a research dimension to a need dimension. That's where I want all of you to look at. When you look at the digital tools, the academics and the researcher are exposed to numerous research field specific digital tools. Finding open source digital tools is a broader base, simplifies, like DLS facilitates interaction between academics, researchers, and the digital tools, and provide a guidance at a specific research field in the conjunction with a community of data stewards who are the subject matter experts. In fact, just now Sushmita was talking about the IIT example. In fact, in one of the NDLI project, I have seen how the academicians, how the researchers, how the digital experts and the exponents of the technology users are coming together. In fact, in one of the projects I have seen that when this Microsoft, the managing director at that time, the person came down to IGNCA. He started looking at some of the platforms like Silver Platter, where you can look at of one particular monument with a three-dimensional measurement, and how you look at it on each and every the cultural aspects or the monumental designs or the components which are there, and each and everything a virtual platform was given into it. And there are certain universities and institutions, they have created, I'll show you some of the case studies, who have created a such kind of labs where the subject domain experts, because you need a digital humanity experts, you need researchers in these areas, you academics, you need the SMEs on that areas, and then only you can create a digital humanities, a platform for a digital scholarship. Networked environment. So suppose, for example, you are working on these areas, and if you don't have, I mean, one of the important, in fact, if you go through the open science framework, one of the important component where is there, it is basically nothing but creation of an open data or an open repository where all resources at one place. Why? Because distances are vast, but not the collaboration are vast. Collaboration, sharing of resources, sharing of projects through various technological means. And in this COVID, I think in the pandemic period, we all of us have experienced that it is a means of open science framework today. Digital scholarship is scholarship. It facilitates new modes of research. And some of the sources of evidence are like social media data, the biometric data, the censored data, approaches to research like database development, sentiment analytics, 3D printing, outputs, podcasting, interactive narratives, digital exhibits, GitHubs, and uh, uh, just give me 1 minute. Hello, it is already started. So common to digital scholarship challenge and alter the way the researchers do the research. So this has a lot of, so digital scholarship is a scholarship today. Digital scholarship is interdisciplinary, as Sushmita already mentioned. Doing digital scholarship draws a wide range of expertise today from across the university, bringing together researchers from different scholarly disciplines and drawing on resources from distinct units on campus. Digital scholarship or a digital scholarship cannot be done by one team, but it has to be many people coming together for a common cause. That's where it is required. Like for example, in McMaster University, in where the library plays, I'm telling you, the library plays a key role for facilitating the research, facilitating the training, the facilitating the teaching in digital scholarship. They are doing it. If you go to their website, you will see an ample amount of work they have done on different kinds of projects. Digital scholarship is collaborative because it is produced or conducted by people working together. It includes also conscientious relationship among community building. It's a digital scholarship entails identifying who is the project stakeholder, the intended audience, and try to look at the research and resources being used, and by acknowledging everyone who contributed to the research. So today, the digital scholarship is considered as one of the prime project of a library today, as a prime project of a library today. And in a globe, I'm not talking about only in India. Some of the examples of India here, Sushmita has shown, but they are in a global level. Lot of PhD programs, lot of research projects are floating, and they are looking for solutions on digital scholarship and digital humanities areas. It is critical because it basically it exacerbates the inequities, and in the digital tools is a very important thing, is that You have to have an abreast with the technologies and the tools which are available. So you need to have a critical digital literacy before plunging yourself into the digital scholarship area. Otherwise, you will start swimming. You won't find the, where is the bank where I have to swim back. So that's kind of thing can happen. Digital scholarship is inventive. You're going to give birth to something, whether it is a small or it is a tangential one. Digital resources possibility means making choices about the best way to pursue a question, engage scholars and students, and as well as, if required, the public also. So this is a framework which I've taken from the digital scholarship framework of OSF, where you can see it started with the conceptualization, then the data collection, the data analysis, the findings, and then the engagement, and then the translation takes place. And each one of the component, when you look at, there are some of the pragmatic areas where we library professionals can play a very big role, because you are the people. We can talk about OER, we can talk about open science, we can talk about open data, we can look at text mining and analytics area, we can look at the multimedia areas also. This is a very interesting framework, and a kind of a, what you called as a digital humanities periodic table I came across, where it shows that what are the different types of tools, technologies, research is taking place. And if you click one of them, it will take you to that site, and it will tell you that the current this. But if you're doing want to do a sharing of research, you go to this. So the POC, ZFSGA, these are the managing your research. The ash color ones are basically sharing your research. The tools which are there with the orange in color, which is given. So a complete periodical model was given to showcase your digital humanities and the scholarship part of it. Digitizing the collections, infrastructure for digitization, preservation, and access. This is when you are doing a project of that level, you need to have a proper infrastructure in place, because you will be going for a heavy digitization and the preservation and access to the resources. And one of the important thing in the project, in the planned project, is it has to have a library's strategic priorities. If you cannot showcase as a library strategic priority, then you won't be able to do it. I'll give you an example. When I was in Singapore, where they started a kind of a digital scholarship model, or humanities model, I would rather call it, where they talk about only a hand. And there was an entire exhibition took place where they talk about only a person's hand, what a hand can do. It is nothing but a dermatography of the entire hand, but it spells a lot of things about it. And they made the entire technology in such a way, if you place your hand in some places, it talks about your hand, that how is your hand reflects on your nature, your culture, your past, many things it talks about it. So it was a amazing structure they have developed on hands. Digital research and publishing service, where it is completely into, like, institutional repository, blogging, audio product, video productions, and all. It's coming up in a big way, and I think all of us are doing the digital research and publishing services. One of the important areas which is coming up, which is called as Digital Humanities Center now. The center is a scholar driven strong research and development, and may not be affiliated with the library. It high touch collaboration among scholars for a limited number of projects per semester or years. Scholars and staff on project teams are true research partners. Such projects may result in tools or platforms that can be used in other settings also. Like, for example, library discovery interface called Blacklight, which grew out of a staff project at University of Virginia Scholars Lab. And this is an amazing platform they have developed called Blacklight. And this expression of digital forms and the products. And it has a idiocentric and thus hard to maintain over time and ongoing developer interventions. So there are four tier model. Tier 1 is your enterprise academic tools. Computing, the basic enterprise academic tool is basic computing needs of a vast majority of students and faculty. Examples like learning management system, wikis, video streaming, individual shared file storage, virtual computer labs, and these tools are designed to meet the academic and administrative computing needs, but do not necessarily lend themselves to scholars' research requirement. Most offer little to no customization for individual products. So these are some of the tiers that you go up. So automatically, how you create, so based on your strategic priority, you developed it and slowly you climb the ladder. So that is how it takes you to the different level. Standard research service, so you have to bring out some of the very interesting service which are more on academic and administrative. You have completed your tier 1, so you come down to different kinds of service like open journal systems, web hosting platforms. Tell them about WordPress, give them on something like web exhibit platforms, which is a free open exhibition platform called Omeka. You can use that, or an open journal system is called a bpress. So these are some of the platforms which are available. Give them a training of these to the students, to the researchers, to the people who work on these areas. One of the important platform, I think we all of us are aware of it nowadays, it is very popular, which is called as WordPress. And an institutional level, lot of design templates and other things are available, so people can really look into it. The third component is your enhance your research service, where exactly one of the important component of your project is your metadata creation. When you have done the entire data creation or a particular structurization, or you have done the metadata creation, which is going to be one of the major area to look into, because you are creating a large repository, and in that repository you have, so it is a part of your that enhanced research service, which is very important. And then comes your applied research and development. The level is more experimental, where you apply it on a certain things, innovative scholars, ideally leading to reusable products. First of it, tools, platforms, or methods, and ultimately is the goal to provide the service or tools to a tier 2 or tier 3 we are doing it, or tier 4. But one of the important thing is it cannot be at only for, it has to be an open format, and someone has to come up, and there are mostly these are grant funded. And whenever I'm telling you, these are mostly different types of grant fundings are available. I have gone through some of the grant fundings, and I found that some of the, whenever they talk about this grant funding, it has an open dimension. So these are not restricted to only the institution. Probably it is restricted as long as the project is running, but later on, one of the criteria is that keep it for others also to use such kind of tools and techniques also. So there is a new model for the librarian scholar collaboration today. And one of the important, there are several tools, technologies are on place, but one of the important area where the librarians and the scholars should come together is basically nothing but what I call it as digital scholarship, where you can have a project planning, data collection and organization, metadata creation, data analysis and visualization, content dissemination, and long-term archiving. So these are some of the major areas where library have been playing a very important role, and they will keep on playing. But now they have to do a different dimension. They have to come up with a more effective digital scholarship platforms on these areas. Digital humanities is a broad area of scholarship. What is digital humanities today? One of the theory was given by Rutgers of digital humanities initiative. I'll just read out. Scholarship is the digital humanities bring digital tools to bear on traditional humanistic areas of study, and prompts critical reflection in the best tradition of the humanities on the digital mediation of modern life. It emphasizes on assemble, transform, manipulate digital archive to use the computational method to advance or question conventional method of analysis or critical scrutiny using the computer mediated culture. So that is where the digital humanities play a very, very important role. In fact, a lot of projects Like Jeffrey Snap has already done a lot in Harvard University and in NIT also. He has done different kinds of projects, and he has got a very interesting on presentations also on these areas. Digital humanities projects includes, these are some of the major areas. Without this, you cannot do the digital humanities project. One of the very interesting project I want to mention here, it was done by the Trinity College of Dublin in Ireland, where they are currently they are working on a very interesting project of digital humanities. Like for example, if I want to look at what is my race, from where I have come, where is the beginning? I mean, I have my forefathers complete structures and everything, but actual sense where it has all started. So what they have done, they have digitized all the materials. Now they are getting into a more of digital humanities using artificial intelligence and text analysis and all these applications they are doing. And they are trying to get into the nitty gritties of where one particular race is connected to where. And one of the major thing and one of the outcome I would like to measure, like the because of the geographical, that's why one of the important area of digital humanities today is GIS mapping. Because in geospatial mapping, what happens, people wants to understand how the geography, because geography study is a very important area, how the geography has changed over the period, how the GIS mapping has taken a new dimension, how the people's migration from one place to another is a major area of research today. And that is where it can play a very fantastic role on digital humanities. So for that, what you need is textual analysis, geospatial approaches, network analysis, data mining, and digital projects. And let me tell you, friends, there is a empty number of projects are available on these areas. But one needs to understand the nitty gritties of this. I think this is one of the research area where people should concentrate now, because we cannot keep our culture. I mean, India is it's a vast cultural country today. We cannot, and we are so rich in culture. You take any aspect of it, say I take an example. In fact, today morning I was teaching, you can even take an example of, say, bangles. How many types of bangles are there in India? Each one of them have got their own style of bangles. A digital humanity project on bangles can come out. A digital humanity project on garments can come out. In fact, one of the area we were started studying in northeastern belt, where we started looking at some of the tribal, the wears they are wearing. And I have studied that, the different kinds of dresses and the colors, even the colors and the combinations and other things were there in their tribal area with the indigenous people. So that's where a very important area is there. This is an example of Johannes Opido facsimile edition. See, the Catholic monk converted the Judaism in 1102. Everything we know this remarkable person derives from the documents of the Kairos Geniza. And the facsimile edition reunites the manuscripts housed today in 5 locations together to have a translation and a transcriptions. And that is what is done by the Professor Gary Redensburg of the Department of Jewish Studies, directs the project. In fact, when I was preparing this presentation, I was fascinated to read all these case studies myself. The history of the immigration case, files and stories of restriction and deportation. And what is the famous case study of 56,000 series, where the people have collected the memoranda, the correspondence, the legal briefs, the different types of small information was collected. And based on that, the textual analysis and the artificial intelligence application was given to it. And it has given there was a complete workshop on this, and some of the leading universities, they have already conducted. And where the most classical, as Sushmita mentioned, The classical part is that historians are coming together, the geographists are coming together, the computational aspects coming together, and the library information science professionals are coming together. And that is how they are doing the entire study into it. A spatial history of 19th century American meteorological infrastructure. This was a study done by Jamie Pistrosco in history, where it is on weather, and he looked at it, the meteorological knowledge infrastructure, and how with the help of a digital mapping tool he did a complete visualization and the spatial history of weather. You look at the history of Delhi itself. Was it so hot? Maybe I come to know from my forefathers even 20 years, 40, 30 years or 40 years back. It was never like that. Can we do a digital mapping of a visualization of a weather observations of a particular place, and we can come up with what was there and what was not? So I'm sure these are some of the, these are some of the very trajectory, research areas where we need to look at it. And if we start, in fact, there was a very interesting book which was written by one of the Harvard professor. He said we should, in fact, he called it as a 3-box solution. It was, what he says, you should look at the past, selectively go into the present, and then you predict the future. So I think this past, present, and future, these 3 things, when we bring together, we need a digital humanity research on these areas. And there is a very interesting framework. In fact, she has already mentioned some of the very interesting projects which are on today, some of the workshop, some of the program, some of the collaboration work is taking place in the field of digital scholarship and humanities. These are some of the suggested tools like Digo, Express Scribe, each one of them which are used for even for digital pedagogy and scholarship. Omeka, I have already mentioned. WordPress, Voyant is a very interesting toolbox which is basically used for a text analysis, and it is it is used for a semantic ontology, and Voyant tool can easily be used and implemented. So if you are into, if you know about NTBT and all those, if you develop a taxonomy architecture of a particular area, I think you can use a Voyant tools index, and you can start developing a tree structure of that also. Digo pedagogy, some of the guides are available for your own, so you can go through, like there are video storytelling guides, they are creating a website guides, principles of Voyant. These are some of the tools which are used in digital pedagogy and scholarship. In fact, Carolina Digital Humanity Initiative tools, they are providing a lot of tools. DIRT is a very important directory. Stanford Humanities Centers, there is a very interesting project called Project Bamboo, which is on a multi-institutional and interdisciplinary, and how can we advance the arts and humanities research through the development of shared technology services. It's a Project Bamboo, they call it. And digital humanity tools, so some of the, like, curated by Alan Liu, a professor of English from University of California in Santa Barbara. So they are also doing a such kind of research. So these are some of the things I have already said. Digital mapping for arts and humanities, these are some of the tools which are available, like CartoDB, CrowdMap, GapVis, and GPS Visualizer, History Pin, Time Map, MapAlist, MapLine, ViewShare. You can go through. My presentation would be available with the all the organizers, and these are some of the listservs which are there, which I think already mentioned, like hashtag listserv. If you are interested on these areas, you should enroll yourself and find out that what kind of research is taking place currently in these areas, and how these people are working, how humanities, arts, science, technology, and other areas are in alliance with each other, how that strategic alliance is forming, how that research is going to the next level, what are the new areas there. So these are some of the universities which I think you can go through who are doing, and already she has mentioned about this, like Ohio State University and all. These are some of them. Oregon is there, Emory University. And I find that every international university have started delivering, disseminating information on digital scholarship and digital humanities. Actually, digital scholarship is a bigger umbrella under which your digital humanities on different subject areas and different projects are part of it. That is what is my thing is. Just quickly, a couple of case study I would like to highlight with you. This is from University of Pittsburgh Digital Scholarship Center. This is a picture of the Digital Scholarship Commons they have created, where people spend rest of their life, experimenting on these things. They have Digital Scholarship Commons, which is inside the. They are bringing out innovation in digital scholarship. It is in the ground floor of Hillman Library. They have a 24/12 workstation with digital scholarships computer lab. They have public scanners and equipment and digital stewardship lab, where a hands-on lab where they train the people using different kinds of technologies for their digital humanities research work and all. This is a center for digital scholarship. This is another area, and this words and where they are basically turning the big ideas into digital realities. In fact, one of the director is Tim Mele. In fact, I was reading his I was going through his video, so I found he says that digital humanities projects are collaborative and thus can be quite expensive also. So who is going to look it pretty, code it, maintain it, and store it? Digital scholarship requires many skill sets, so it's not one skill set. Good digital humanities requires both intellectual and technical virtuosities. Otherwise, digital scholarship humanities cannot be done. University of Cincinnati, there is a very interesting case study. In fact, they also come up where they have a mission and they are mostly into hybrid forms of research and learning and teaching, technical innovations, project collaborations. In fact, they are mostly into data visualization, text analysis, machine learning techniques, unstructured historical data, 3D modeling, GIS systems. They have very strong GIS system they have created. They have a special metadata curation center or humanistic and cultural data sets where they are very rich in cultural areas of digital humanities. And DHS, they have created a digital humanities and digital site, which is co-directed by Arlene Johnson. She is an associate senior librarian and the digital humanities strategies, and the kind of work she has done along with James Lee, it's unimaginable in the field of digital humanities. I was completely flabbergasted after seeing, and especially James Lee has done on the modern British literature actually. There is another case study by Institute of Advanced Studies of Digital Scholarship. In fact, they have also done a similar kind of work in another institutions. You can go through that. And University of Brown has set up their own center for digital scholarship, where they have created a digital scholar. Some of them call it a digital scholarship hub. Some people they call it a university digital scholarship lab, because where more projects, more experimentation takes place. Some of the projects which is done by digital scholars, and these are some of the projects I think we all of us are aware of. Zotero was one of their invention which came out of it. Omeka is there, which is more on virtual exhibition. Tropy is a very interesting project they have, where the research photos can be taken, which is a very interesting project. Press forward is another thing for sending the messages and all, and sorcery is also for the remote archive. That's another leading project. They are already worked on these projects. So digital scholarship, when you do planning a project, so you need to look at how to approach their projects. I mean, there is a complete series is there. Who are the people should be involved in it? What are the requirements of those projects? And managing the research data or developing a data plan. So you need to come up with a complete structure of the data plan. How, why, when, where, and by from whom you will collect the data. So a complete DMP, which is called as data management plan, you have to create, and that you have to follow for accomplishing that particular project. Building a digital collection or an exhibition, you need to disseminate also, and publishing your work under open education initiative. There is a lot of open education initiatives are there, like conferences and scholarly materials are there. Some of the platforms are there where you should showcase your research work or your scholarly work and all. creating a digital media objects like 3D printing and all. It is coming up in a big way. Like for example, I have seen that in one of the case study I was going through, I found that somebody has a very old church which is in a completely dilapidated condition today. They have using a 3D printing, giving their, after studying a number of manuscripts, they have recreated that a model of that church, how it was look like somewhere in the 16th century. So that kind of modeling they have done. So digital media objects were done. Mapping the GIS, that's a very very important area which I already mentioned, I have already shown. So geographical information system, remote sensing is a very important area, and it has to be there. Otherwise these things, because there is a climatic, geographic, edaphic change is taking place day by day. So mapping is required. So research mapping and GIS platforms is one of the major areas of that. This is some examples of the digital scholarship lab. This is an immersive visualization lab where people come together, they debate out, they look at it, the some of the manuscripts and all, and give a visualization that how it was looking at that particular period, giving it a shape, and then the shape is created using digital platform or 3D printing and all those concepts and all. So the most important thing is that see, the world is moving and there is a continuous change is taking place. So I think we, and we are in a rich country, in a rich in India, where we have lot of resources to look at, and we have a lot of, we should come up with lot of research work in the field of digital humanities under the banner of digital scholarship. I think that's a one of the primary area we should venture out, as Professor Shushmita also talked about on these areas. So hunt for digital scholarship and the humanities should begin at any time. Thank you very much. Thank for your patience listening.
Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable talk and giving lot of valuable information in through this media to our participants. Definitely, our participants got the various valuable information through this webinar. Now I request to Mr. DP Singh sir
Okay, sir.
to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. On the behalf of SDF team, we would like to thank you for
Please open your camera, sir.
accepting
Please open your
our.
camera.
You
Sir,
listening me?
sir, you have to change the banner.
Okay.
Banner is still there.
Yeah.
You have to change the banner. You have to put Dr. Singh's name.
Okay. On the behalf of the SDF team, we would like to a special thank you for accepting our invitation as a speaker, Dr. Ganguly, in the short period, and Professor Susmita. We believe our speakers provide deep and comprehensive insight around the various facts of digital scholarship and digital humanities in the knowledge world. And Dr. Ganguly discussed the various issues and facts related to the digital scholarship in present scenario, and describe also various projects in the worldwide working on the digital scholarship. Digital scholarship is a wide range of multidisciplinary subject and research areas. We also present to thanks our participants. They give the valuable time and listen with the patiently to the our sessions. I also thanks to our president, Dr. Rajneesh Sharma, who has give the special time and welcome others present for our sessions and make the successfully this webinar. Also, he is the provide the time to time guidance to make the different variety of programs under the banner of HDF. I would like to special thank to Dr. Ankwar. He has conducted the webinar today and present his valuable time in the in this occasion. And also a special thanks again to Dr. Susmita Chakravarti and Professor Dr. Santanu Ganguly, Chief Librarian of AIMS. He accepting our present invitation to deliver the very informative and interesting lecture. I see the various commands on the chat box. Mostly participants give the give the feedback to the very wonderful sessions delivered by the Dr. Santanu Ganguly and Professor Susmita Chakravarti. Now I would like to request some question from participants. I request to all participants, please ask questions. Any questions? I think our both speakers explain very deeply the act of digital scholarship and digital humanities, and no need required by the our participant to ask the questions. Thank you very much to all participants and our speakers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. In
Yes,
fact,
sir.